Welcome to Bridging the Gap, a show where we sit in the space between generations, listening in on the choices that shape the futures we're building today. I'm your host, Sheila, and in this episode, I'm joined by two dynamic professionals who also happen to be life partners. Dr. Natasha Arora and Dr. Kushan Dhawan are not just dentists, they are entrepreneurs, collaborators, and co builders of a dental practice that blends high standards with the human touch. But it wasn't always easy. From battling the odds of starting out in a specialized space to navigating what it means to be seen and taken seriously as young dentists, they've earned every bit of their credibility. We talk about childhood dreams, the brutal realities of medical internships, running a practice as a married couple, and what it really takes to build something sustainable in your very early 30s. Welcome, Natasha and Kushan, to Bridging the Gap. Okay, young people uh, getting into dentistry, medicine is so difficult, and then you choose an educational line which takes the mickey out of you. So, my first question is why?
So, Sheila, if I tell you honestly, why dentistry? If so, we started our dentistry in the year 2012, 2013. Obviously, we were science students. We were interested in science subjects. So we wanted to do something we were interested in. So we honestly, I started with giving my entrance exams for MBBS,
Okay.
for BDS, not
Okay.
for dentistry. But in my first attempt, I didn't get through MBBS.
Okay.
So I went into dentistry, and the day I started dentistry, I've never looked back.
And what about you?
Similar. Exactly.
I mean, you
similar.
could have done fashion designing, you could have
No,
done.
I've always wanted to be a doctor. But similarly, I did not get through to the MBBS, the college that I wanted.
Okay.
But I did get dentistry in the same college.
Okay.
So that is how I took it up, and I really loved it actually, because nobody ever tells you what there is in dentistry. People, somebody in your family is a doctor, but I never had anyone a dentist in my family.
Okay.
So I was very intrigued, but I really liked.
And the
When we
first year
started.
classes, the first year subjects that you have, you're carving through wax to make a tooth.
Yeah.
So which is very, very interesting. It's not something like you're going for say you go for a DU class to some college, you're just attending the lecture, you're coming back. So it was a mix of science, it was a mix of artistry, it was a mix of, engineering. So all
Wow.
things combined.
But did you have doctors in the family?
My mother's brother is a doctor.
Okay.
He's an MD medicine.
Okay.
So we know how a doctor is in a family, he's the go-to person for everything, I have fever, who should I call? You should call
Mamaji.
Mamaji. So, and he used to come back from clinic, say late at night, say at around 11:30. That is the time he would wind up his clinic. So I was like, it's good we got into dentistry because you have fixed hours. You don't need to stay in the clinic till about 10, 11.
Yeah, mostly you don't have
There's no
emergencies.
Unless there are
Yeah, and those are
options
few
for
and far between.
emergencies.
Yeah.
So we have our pretty comfortable working hours. So that is a good thing that
Okay.
we got in dentistry that we couldn't have got if we were practicing medicine proper.
So when you didn't get into MBBS, was it like, oh my God, my life has come to an end? Did you go through those kind of no?
Not at all.
Not really, not.
Oh, nice.
So we were not. I wasn't that rigid that I want to become. Because I was giving exams for MBBS. It wasn't like I just wanted to become a doctor. If some avenue closed, obviously another one opened up. So that flexibility was always there after finishing my 12th.
Uh, what about your life made you strong enough to say, okay, if not this, then another door will open? Because not too many people talk like that.
No, because it was an unexplored avenue for me, dentistry. So I was really intrigued what exactly happens. And I spoke to a few seniors, spoke to a few teachers, and they're like, you just join, you love it. And
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
When I started my dentistry, we start our session in August. So I
Okay.
started my session in August of 2012.
Okay.
I wasn't still sure enough that I would, be able to go through the entire course. I was that unsure. Also, I was pretty flexible with everything. I also had a seat in my in Delhi University Venkateshwara College Biochemistry honors. So that was kept
As a backup.
as a backup till my December holidays. And when I came back in my December holidays in 2012,
12.
that is the time I actually went and withdrew my admission from Venkateshwara so that, I could just continue with my dentistry. So,
You know, I'm amazed by one thing you said, and I really want to question that. You said that in 2012, there were not too many options, and you still had to either become a doctor or an engineer. That is what happened in my life
yeah.
at my, when I was young. But I feel that in your age, there were so many more options. So why this feeling that, you had only these two options to look at?
So obviously, if you look at academic options or you look at non-academic options, there can only be two options when you are wanting to pursue something. So academic options, because we had taken science, it was limited to obviously being a doctor, being an engineer. If you looked at something into non-academics, you could look at, anything, sportsman, singer, musician. I think it was a more secure path going into an academic path
That's an
versus
interest. Yeah.
a non-academic path. And that's what we took. So,
And we'll talk about security a little later.
yeah.
I think that's an interesting conversation.
Yes.
I know that you sing as well.
Yeah.
So you could have taken a non-academic path. You're a Hindustani trained singer, right?
So, yeah, I learned semi-classical vocal music when I was in school for 8-9 years.
Wow.
So,
So you could have become a singer.
He did try.
yes,
He
yes,
did
I did.
try.
I did try. Partially, yes. I went for an audition for Saregama, the junior version, British
Okay.
Champs.
Okay.
But by the time I reached the venue for my audition, I was sent back because I was just 3 months overage.
Oh.
So I think it was a sign that just go into academics,
Destiny.
But I've never left singing. Music has been my passion. It's a stress buster for me. It's not like I've left music.
But it's now a passion more
Part
than
of
a
his-
profession.
correct. It certainly helps me.
And what about you? Did you ever have these conflicting paths of maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that?
No, actually.
No?
I always wanted to be a doctor,
Okay.
but not sure which
Which area?
specialty, which what. But no, I never had why did I not do that?
So that's great you have that kind of clarity, both of you. And you seem to be very, very clear in what you wanted to do, because a lot of young people struggle to get that kind of clarity and it's not easily available. I wanted to ask you a question that you were doing dentistry, and by no means is it an easy line. While people say, oh, there's MBBS and then there's BDS, but I would put both at the same level because they require the same kind of work, the same kind of hours. Would I be right in judging that? In saying that? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
How did you find the time to fall in love? I mean, where did that happen? Because I take it that you fell in love in college.
Yeah.
So did you even have time to hang out, to go on dates? Did you have time for all that?
We did actually, because like he said, there are no emergency hours, there are no night duties. College used to get over by 5.
Okay.
So we had time to go to the beach. Mangalore,
Is
coastal
yeah,
area,
yeah.
full of beaches.
Doing dentistry doesn't mean that you are in the hospital 24/7.
Okay.
Okay, it was even there was a college. There was our college life.
Okay.
So we would obviously attend classes. We did a lot of patients. But post 4:30, 5 o'clock, that's when the college ended, we had a fair share of fun and banter. We had a very good sports arena where we used to, go play football. She used to hang out with her friends, and then we would meet again at say 7:30. Let's go for dinner. So hostel life is completely different.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You have that independence. We used to go out for dinner, hang out with friends at their apartments till late at night. So
Mm.
college life was fun even for us being dentists. Can't deny that.
Can't deny that. So you both of you have grown up together. Yeah, it is like that because college is really where the growing up happens. Uh, what is it like when you're in a professional course and you are spending time together? Uh, were the conversations a lot about work? Was it about personal dreams? Would you discuss patients? What was this conversation about, Natasha?
So basically, he was a year senior to me.
Okay.
So initially, our conversations started with, what to study for the exam. Could you just mark important questions and answers for me so that I can, started from there. But then naturally, it grew on to, personal ambitions and a lot of, things about family. A lot of, those kind of topics that we did talk about.
But at that point, there are a lot of uncertainties. We don't know where we are going to go after graduation. We haven't explored all avenues. So we weren't thinking about marriage. Obviously, we wanted to take it forward.
Okay, now let's come to some interesting questions here, okay? The thought process is that if you do your MBBS, then life is pretty much set for you. That's why parents used to say, beta, doctor ban jao, engineer ban jao, because the idea was that life is pretty much set.
Yeah.
My question to you is, and I'll start with you first. When you finished your post-graduation and you came back,
Yeah.
was it set for you?
No. So the reality is far from, what people think this life is about. So fresh graduates right after college, nobody really entertains you.
Okay.
So we don't have a corporate, job, like it's a set job that you'll earn this much, you'll have this much of salary. So you have to basically knock on doors.
What do you mean knock on doors?
On clinics, basically clinics around your house or your area where you'd like to go.
So you knock on doors as in you,
Give your CV in and, so I'm a freshly graduate.
like a
and
door-to-door salesperson?
Yes. So you carry your CV, you carry your card, that I'm a consultant, endodontist, and I.
So there was no job waiting for you?
Oh, no, it doesn't happen.
Your college doesn't help you get jobs?
No.
So there's no placement
There are no.
like there is for corporates.
There is no placement in the MBBS course?
No.
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 So
So let's make it MBBS and BDS.
Yeah.
Okay. MBBS, then you do your masters, MD, and then there are a lot of options because there are a lot of hospitals, right? Hospitals have a lot of recruitment. happening.
Yeah.
Now, if you compare that with the dental setup, you don't have a lot of dental hospitals. And even if you do, all those or most of those hospitals are teaching hospitals. So if you want to get into that, it's more like you're going into the academic section of it.
Wow.
You'll be
okay.
basically going and teaching
As
other
lecturer.
dental graduates.
Understood.
for-
Understood. But then you're not a dentist. Then you're a
Then-
professor. You're
then
on
you're
your
not-
way to being a professor.
Then you're not a practicing
Yeah.
dentist.
I went in as to apply for a consultant.
Okay.
So that's basically an on-call basis
Okay.
kind of a thing.
Okay.
If you have a patient who needs a root canal, call me. I will-
Okay. Okay.
So basically, you can tie up with multiple clinics.
Okay.
As
Okay.
compared to just being
Okay.
stuck with one. So I gave my CV in around multiple clinics, got a call. So they don't tell you immediately, okay, join. We'll let you know.
Okay.
They'll call when there is a case and you might not even be there. So they
And
expect
is
you to-
this a contracted thing there? where-
No, no.
So it's just, I'll just give a call and say, "Aa jao."
Yeah, so it could be, oh, so I have a patient sitting on the chair right now in pain. Can you come? It's not even like, planned appointment. So you can also plan your day. It's just, if you're not available, they'll call somebody else. So it's not,
And how do you decide what you're going to get paid? It's not contracted. It's not decided.
it's not contracted. So it's up to the person running the clinic, how much they want to pay you.
That's a
And you
little,
can negotiate, but
of course.
There are some things which are unsaid
Yeah.
Like a certain percentage would be given to the consultant, a certain percentage would be obviously kept by the clinic where the patient is.
So who gets the larger percentage? Is it the consultant or is it the clinic?
It's either 50-50
Yeah.
or it's 60-40.
Where the 40 is going to the consultant?
40 goes to the
Clinic.
clinic owner.
Okay.
It also depends on, so there are a lot of consumables that are,
Yeah.
Used, yes.
used in dentistry.
Yes.
So if the consultant is, in her case, Natasha, if she is getting her instruments or she's getting all
My own
consumables,
materials,
then obviously it can be
Otherwise-
60-40 in our favor, otherwise 50-50. There are places where it's 70-30 also, but it varies.
Okay,
There's
it
no-
varies. But you don't sign a contract on this.
There's nothing,
it's only
there's no
on
contract,
whatever they want.
nothing. If mostly on verbal terms, it's mostly on how your equation is with that
Understood.
clinic head.
Wow.
And if
I would have thought that you finished dentistry and you've got a job waiting for you and it's that you start earning from day one. Obviously, it's not that.
It's not that at all.
there are some chains, there are some dental chains where everything is contractual, so that's also there, but it's up to you which side you are on, which side you get into. So yes.
And so you started consulting.
Yes.
And how long before you could manage to be completely financially independent?
It took a while because so initially I signed up with 2 clinics.
Okay.
Then it increased.
Okay.
So it's not like,
It's not from day one that you
one
get
that-
a
and some patients, some clinics have a lot of patient inflow.
some.
There I would get,
Okay.
other clinics not so much. So it's very erratic. It's not.
Wow.
It's not.
It's so funny you're saying this, because I've been speaking to a lot of young people. And when I picked the two of you, I thought here would be a story of stability, everything being, well placed and everything normal. Your life sounds just as erratic as a performing arts person. Because they were also saying that, money comes and goes. You don't know when it's going to come in. And it's exactly how it's sounding in your case. Did you also go door to door knocking?
So I initially, once I finished my masters, I went to 15-20 of the dentists in and around my house. But it wasn't, I didn't go there as a consultant. I just went there to get an idea of how dentistry is running in Delhi NCR, for
So you
example.
went and you worked free?
So basically, I wanted to get an idea of how the dentistry situation is in Delhi NCR. I also, by speaking to them, I got a rough idea of, what I should do, because either there's a path of going to multiple clinics, or you can do a full-time job at a certain clinic and get experience there. So these are the two paths, and I chose the path of going to the same clinic, working there full-time, and I worked there full-time for the last 4-5 years.
Okay.
And I got a lot of experience working there. So I took that path.
Okay. So there are ways that you can make it happen.
Yeah.
I believe you also worked for a charitable trust.
Yes.
And why would you work for a charitable trust? Did they pay you or
No, it's a charitable trust.
so why would you work? What is the logic for doing that so early in your career?
So when we finish our masters, we've been doing our masters is for 3 years.
Okay.
It's a 3-year program. So you're only doing your specialization work for 3 years, but you have studied all of dentistry in your graduation as well.
Okay.
So you can't remember all of it when you're doing your specialty work
Okay.
for 3 years.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, it was like a revision course for me before I get into real world dentistry here.
Okay.
So I worked in a charitable trust. The things I wasn't very comfortable with during my graduation, I just wanted to make sure that I could handle those kind of cases before I start working at someone's clinic and
Okay.
start treating patients.
Okay.
So that was the idea of me going to a charitable trust. Although it was obviously it was free for patients, but you would always do your best for the
Of course.
patient
Of course.
to treat him.
That is something that as doctors you are sworn to do, right?
Correct.
You don't say, oh, this patient is paying me more, so I'll be nicer. One hopes not that you don't do that.
And it was something for me to learn as much as possible.
Sure. I hear you. And did anybody ask you to work for free because, Arey, you're just new, so why don't you just hang in and work with us and you'll get experience. We don't really need to pay you. Did that happen?
Yeah, it does happen, but it never happened with me.
Okay.
But I've had a few juniors come and tell me that, so and so person asked me to work for free. Just observe, because you're young, you're freshly graduated, you don't know anything. How a practice runs, you need to observe, and then we observe how you work and then decide your pay. So it's
I
humiliating.
voluntarily did
Did that.
observership when I was working with at a charitable. That was a half day thing. So the other half I would go and observe under a senior dentist
Okay.
who was working at a nearby clinic. So it was convenient for me, and that gave me a lot of insight.
So it's difficult. I mean, you may be a great student in school and you may do your dentistry, but life is not easy even for you.
Yeah.
It isn't. It is.
And nobody prepares you for this in college.
Yeah,
'Cause they
I
have
would
a-
expect so
they-
because nobody's going to tell you you'll have to go door to door, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be a systemic issue then, not
It
a
is.
college issue or a person issue. Are there any colleges that help with placement?
No.
I think some colleges have started getting tie-ups with certain dental chains,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if that has actually started.
Yeah. Not that I've heard of. I don't know.
Okay, so you started your career, which seems actually tougher than what my career was. So I started my career in hotels and I hardly got paid any money, but at least I got paid every month. Here, you don't even know how you're going to get paid, right? Except maybe if you join as a full-time person. So when in these early days when you were doing this, is that when you got the idea of setting up a private practice?
Yes.
Or was that always a plan?
That was always the plan, but the plan got a little accelerated, I would say, based on the stories we would hear happening to our batchmates, working full time at a certain clinic. Obviously, you're given a fixed salary, which is not a lot to start with. The chunk of the profit obviously goes to the clinic head, the place where you're working, because that's how it happens. So then obviously our end goal was to open a clinic, but then it got accelerated that if we need to open a clinic, we have to obviously have a presence at the end of the day. It's better to at least start it as soon as possible because both of us were specialists. It wasn't like we haven't seen patients at that point of time. We were both specialists in different fields, so we could handle a chunk of the cases.
There are about 9 areas in dentistry, right?
There are 7-8 specialties.
yeah.
7, 8
7, 8
specialities. And you are in different areas of specialities, both of you?
Correct.
Okay. So did you start this clinic before you got married, after you got married?
It was around the same time.
Around the same.
Oh, wow.
Clinic
The same month.
2 months.
Same month.
Yeah. 2 months before.
Yeah, a month before.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So it was all the preps.
Were
wedding
happening
preps,
together.
Clinic preps, everything was together. It was quite
And
a
is it
time.
easy to set up a private clinic?
It's not at all easy. To set
Again,
up
nobody
private.
tells you how you're supposed to do it. It's not been taught in dental schools at all.
So do you not get any inputs on if you were to set up your clinic, this is what you need to know? You don't get
The
them like
business
that.
side of it isn't taught in college. There are a certain chapters in our books, but
They don't.
wasn't considered important
yeah.
when we were in college. But then when there was time for us to get into private practice, that is the time that
You realize.
then we realized that
Yeah.
Those were actually the most
Yeah,
important
yeah.
ones.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, being, going to a dentist, what I understand is that you need to have a chair first, the dental chair. Is that a cheap thing?
there are a lot of things that go into getting a private practice started.
So, what would it entail approximately?
First thing is obviously the property. You need a space to start a private practice.
That's right.
Either you take it on lease or you buy it.
Okay.
Now, I think that's the major chunk that goes into building a clinic.
Okay.
Fortunately, we have got a lot of financial support by our parents, which is why it was not that difficult getting a space to start the clinic. Now, if you look at the equipments that you use, there's a dental chair. That's the basic thing that you need. You need a compressor and suction, all those pipes that go into your mouth, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you need. And then along with that, a very important thing that you need is a full blown X-ray unit, because without taking X-rays in a patient's mouth, you can't really do much.
Okay.
So that is very important. Along with that, you need to have a proper sterilization unit, because you can't be using the same instruments
Of course.
unsterilized
Of course.
again and again.
That would
Yeah.
be gross.
So there's that sterilization unit that you need to have. So there are a lot of things.
So if I have to set up a dental practice,
Hmm.
what is the least I'll have to spend and what is the maximum that I could spend?
So the least would be, I think, somewhere about 3 to 4 lakhs
Okay.
on your equipment part.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
can't-
I'm saying
yeah,
equipment
I
part.
can't.
Yeah. And the maximum that those equipments
So-
will go.
So if we talk about one dental chair unit, the chair that you sit on, it starts from say 40,000-50,000. Those are the very basic chairs. And it goes up to some international European chairs go up to say 35-40 lakhs.
What?
Just
One chair.
just for a chair.
Yeah.
So it depends on obviously what you want to get.
Wow. Okay, so let's come to the fact that okay, great, you had supportive parents and all the rest. But here were two young dentists who decided that they were going to start their own practice. Now, starting your own practice sounds very cool, but how do you start your own practice? Where do you get your patients from? Was it easy getting your patients initially?
So initially, no. Our practice mainly runs on word of mouth.
Okay.
Even
Yeah, because you can't advertise, right? That goes against the medical code or something?
So according to the Dental Council of India, it's not prohibited, but the doctor has to maintain a decorum while he or she is advertising.
Okay.
So it has to be very subtle. It has to be more inclined. It has to be more inclined towards patient education, as if you are educating the patient.
Okay, got it.
So it's like an indirect advertisement that you do.
I
it
understand.
cannot be best dentist in Gurgaon.
Yeah, you can't say
In Delhi.
Huh.
Just
Yeah, you
Claims,
can't put us claims.
sleep
Can't,
claims.
yeah, it can't be.
should not.
Also, the specialization that is recognized by our dental council, only that specialization has to be mentioned wherever you are advertising.
Okay.
Indirectly.
Okay.
But I'm not sure it's followed everywhere.
Yeah, but do you follow it? Yes.
We do, yeah.
Yeah. So the first few days when you had your practice, did you have weeks before any customer walked in?
Yeah.
We had some days off.
Yes, yeah.
Some days off. The entire day we would be sitting in the clinic, obviously trying to do the end touch-up work on our clinics, on our clinic interiors. Those things were happening side by side, and a soft launch was done for the clinic, and we would obviously be ready to handle patients at that point.
But we were always reading up on new things, because there's dentistry is very
Evolving all the time.
new
Yes.
materials come in, there are
Yeah.
more researches, so we would always be reading articles, taking some online courses. It was never that we were just there.
So here you were, a young married couple who's got this white elephant of a clinic, because it is a white elephant. There's cost attached. You have people working there. How did that impact your own dynamic? Would you go home in the evening sometimes saying, my God, how are we going to manage? And we're not earning anything. How are we going to take care of ourselves? Did that go through your mind, Natasha?
Yes. Initially, I had this thought, maybe both of us shouldn't have dived into it. One of us should have been working full time, so that there is somebody who's earning. That thought had crossed, but he was working.
Yeah, that is what I did.
Yeah. So that's what I thought initially. How are we going to just manage this? But I don't know. We did somehow.
We would always think about, obviously we had our lows, to start with.
Of course.
But then we would think about the effort that we have put in to getting this clinic ready, to get the best of equipments, to get the best of materials for our patients.
And I've seen your clinic. I think one thing I loved about your clinic is it's just so clean and calming. You know, because nobody really says, oh, I want to go to the dentist. I mean, you go to the dentist when you can't bear the pain anymore. A lot of us don't even want to see the inside of a dentist office. But when I came into your clinic, I noticed that it was very calm, very peaceful. And both of you are also calm people. So I think that really rubbed off on the entire clinic. Were there days that you didn't make any money at all?
Never.
Are there
Initially,
days
yes.
still that you don't make any money at all?
Very, very, very few.
Yeah.
Very few. Oh, I'm so
The,
glad.
the day the clinic is off.
Okay, the day the clinic is off.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So here's a question for you. Did you ever at any stage in your life after you started this private practice or you went door to door looking for opportunities, did you ever feel, yeah, I shouldn't have done dentistry, I should have done something else?
The day, obviously, if it wouldn't be financially or mentally rewarding, then obviously you would go into that mindset of why have I opened such a swanky clinic? Why have I invested so much in the equipment that I'm using? You could have gone for the 50,000 chair and not for the 6 lakh chair. Just
Yeah, example,
hypothetical.
hypothetical.
But at the end of the day, we want to do the best for our patients. We want to give them the best, and so we just have to play a patient game
Yeah.
and wait for what we've envisioned to happen, and it'll happen.
You know, it's funny, but I have now spent 37 years in my career. And what you said about playing the patient game is so true. And here I don't mean the patient who's come with the toothache,
No.
but being patient.
Yeah.
Because when you start off your career, you feel life is really messed up and you're feeling, I'm not getting the breaks, I'm not getting to where I need to be. And sometimes as young people, and even me when I was young, there was a certain amount of restlessness and a urgency to prove to the world that I've arrived. But I think as you age and you look back, you realize that things take time. So the idea is that as a young couple who are starting off on life and starting off a practice, you would have had to make compromises and sacrifices. What were some of those, Natasha?
Basically, work-life balance had gone for a toss initially
Okay.
because we would want more time in the clinic.
Yes.
What if anybody turns up?
Yeah.
So we would always have that in our minds, and cancel on plans, spend less time with family, stay more at the clinic and they would understand because
Of
obviously
course.
they would. But initially, those were a few challenges that we had. But now it's
Now it's getting
getting
better. What about
towards-
you? What are some of the compromises you felt that you made?
So when we wanted to open our clinic, so we are basically first generation dentists. We
Okay.
don't have a ready patient
base.
base. So that is a very important factor when you start off a clinic. So that was something that was challenging for us, being the first dentists in the family. So we obviously opened our clinic, and then like she said, we would spend more time at the clinic, less time with family. I think that was the only major challenge that was there when we started off. And it's still there because when we open a clinic, the clinic also has a certain timeline by which, it becomes profitable, successful.
Yeah. And that's really that's a challenge that young professionals find or a young craftsman finds.
Yeah.
That it takes you time to grow, but for you to grow, somebody needs to believe in you.
Needs to give you a chance. Yeah.
So have you had patients who've come to you despite the fact that you were very young and have believed in you strongly?
I think the
Yeah.
patients that have come to our clinic have obviously believed in us, which is why they
And
come.
you do
they've
have
come
repeat
to our clinic.
customers.
Definitely,
Repeat patients.
definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
No practice can run without, repeat customers. So that's true. But initially, yeah, we've not had. But when we were working earlier with senior dentists, there we used to find, because people are coming there for them.
Yeah.
So if they see you and you're young, and that person's a senior with 15 years
And
of
you are
experience,
petite, you do look young.
yeah. So there were,
So would
you-
somebody say, I would rather that they take care of me?
yes.
So how would you handle that?
It's their practice after all. So you have to. So it's not.
It depends on the patient also. If the patient has been going to that clinic to that doctor for the last 30 years, for example, you have been going to a certain dentist for the last 30 years, and suddenly some person who's young shows up and
There's a new
he or
face.
she is checking your teeth, you wouldn't be that comfortable to start. It happens with everyone.
Sure.
It happens
Absolutely.
with everyone.
Absolutely.
So
I
you just
agree.
need to, I think, just take it gracefully to start with.
And do damn good work.
It shouldn't hold you back. There'll always be the next patient who would still get work done from you. But
I'd
when
be
you open,
happy about it.
and when you open your own practice, this thing obviously stops because it's your clinic. That's why the patient is here at your clinic, to see you guys.
I'm actually surprised that you said that there is no business acumen that is shared with you or business knowledge that is shared with you in college. So how do you go about deciding how much to charge? How do you decide that? Because it can be the least amount, it can be the most amount, and you have a private practice. So how do you decide on that?
It depends on the area where you're practicing.
Okay.
Which area of, for example, we are in Gurgaon. So which area of Gurgaon you're practicing?
What is the socio-economic status?
What
there?
is the socio-economic status there? How many clinics there are around that area? What kind of equipment you have in your clinic? What kind of vibe you're giving to the patients?
Okay.
How well you're handling the patients? So there are a lot of factors.
And how did you figure this out?
So we obviously did a thorough research of the clinics that were already established
Okay.
near to our clinic,
Okay.
and based on what equipments they were using at their clinic, we got a rough idea of how much to charge to start with. Then obviously there are some treatments that require some laboratory cost. For example, the crowns that you put, the implants that you put. So that also has a certain amount of costing that gets added to it. So if you're getting some work done from, say, Bombay or from Bangalore, which is specialized, and you're getting it to Delhi to give it to your patient, then obviously you would charge a premium, and there's no harm in taking that premium if you're trying to give the best to that patient.
So it must be a tricky decision, right? What to do for the sake of medicine and what to do because you have bills to pay. Because that is a reality of life, right? So what I'd really like to ask you is how do you balance money that you need to earn versus good of the patient? Because there's so much of talk today of doctors fleecing patients, ordering all these tests just because it becomes more profitable for them. And the fact is, you also have to run your own clinic. So how do you decide what to do? What are your ethics around this?
So in dentistry, there are a lot of materials that are used in each and every case, each and every treatment. There's a different material.
Okay.
So the cost of that, patients don't know that.
Okay.
That these materials cost so much.
Okay.
That is why they think that dentists charge, a
A
lot.
lot.
But these materials itself, they're so expensive. The equipment is so expensive. You have to charge a certain amount. And basically, initially, we don't really look at the profit of it or, because as we know that money will come in later.
Okay.
But we need to build that patient trust.
Okay.
Need to have that clientele base.
Okay.
Money will come in.
So it's not like you're trying to, on an everyday basis, say how I can make money. Or,
Oh, no.
that's not,
No.
you don't get that stressed about that.
How we run.
But you have your own home.
Yeah.
and you guys are not staying with parents or not living in a family home. How do you manage that dynamic? Because you work together, then you go back home together. How do you manage that?
So there's a very fine line because you're working together and you're living together. So fights from work can, seep into your home as well. But both of us are not very ladaku, I would say, that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
fight on very small things. But at home, we try not to talk about work, which obviously helps, and basically communicate, and that's how we do it.
And if there's a fight that has happened at the clinic, a silent fight would just be for a patient. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when we come home because it was for the betterment of for the patient. So we understand that.
It's mostly about treatment. What
Yeah,
I
but
should-
doesn't ego come in? Because you're both specialists in different areas and you're also 1 year apart in seniority. So does it ever happen that you give her advice and she says like, why are you giving me advice? I'm the expert here. You like back off.
That does happen.
It does happen.
It does happen. And it happens vice versa also.
Okay.
Not because she's a junior. We don't consider each other senior or junior
Okay.
at this stage of our life.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just two specialists giving each other their professional opinion. If it's better at the end of the day for the patient, then the specialist would go ahead with it.
Yeah, it's not.
If she believes
Yeah.
that what she's doing is correct, or if I believe what I'm doing is correct for the patient, then obviously I would continue with my treatment approach.
And I think the added advantage is you have somebody who has your best interest at heart
Yeah.
and the patient's best interest at heart
Absolutely.
in your partner.
Absolutely.
So it's not like somebody's trying to pull you down so they look better.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
always constructive.
It's always constructive. And how does it work at home? Do you kind of share responsibilities or does he play the, I'm the husband and pani lao kind of thing?
I clean the utensils at night whenever our house help doesn't turn up. So that's just an example of what I do.
It's
Yeah.
teamwork.
Do you cook?
Not
Not a very good.
She cooks better,
Okay.
so she does it. I think I wash utensils better.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Do you ever wonder how this would pan out once you become parents?
Never thought about it.
Never thought of
Honestly, we haven't thought about it.
Too young to be. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Too young. The practice is too young. We're just married.
Yeah,
not really
yeah.
thinking.
So you've not thought about it.
No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Has it ever happened that a patient has questioned you because you look so young?
Not in our practice, but like I said earlier, when we used to work under senior,
But not in your
not
practice.
in our practice.
How do you deal with it if somebody doubts you? Because I'm sure you have patients who want to ask 20 million questions. What is this? Why are you doing that? What are you putting in? Where are you putting it in? And so how do you deal with that at that point of time?
I think with some patients, you need to deal with them in a certain way. You have to be confident enough, right, to make sure that they understand what you're doing is correct. And but it has happened a couple of times with certain patients. They've gone out of the way to ask certain questions which weren't really needed.
Okay.
So then at that point, as a professional, you need to step in and be a little firm with them and assert your authority. Sometimes,
Sure.
case to case basis, it might be required if it's better for the patient at the end of the day.
Understood.
If, for example, a patient says, I don't want to get a root canal done, please do a filling. But if it's gone deep enough and it requires a root canal so that he becomes pain-free, then we have to do a root canal. There's no shortcuts for that. Because otherwise the patient will call you tomorrow and he'll say, I'm having pain. And then at that point, it's not, you can't really say, मैंने तो कल आपको बोला था.
Of course you can't.
Doesn't sound professional at all.
Of course you
So
can't.
then,
The filling that you did is causing me pain now.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
again comes back
Of
to
course. Absolutely.
so then you have to be professional enough to make them understand that we are trying to do what is right for you.
What has been the toughest stage in your private practice and how have you bounced back?
I think the initial days of waiting when nobody would turn up,
Yeah.
those were like the lowest, I
Okay.
would say, because it's like the fear of the unknown. koi aayega, nahi aayega. You don't know that. Yeah, and how long are we supposed to sit like this? But it just, if one of us is down, the other one, brings us back. So that's how.
And it always starts with family and friends coming to the clinic, and then
just
the
picks
word
up, yeah.
and then the word spreads, and now we are here. So
Yeah.
pretty happy about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure you'll go far because you are committed dentists. It's not like, you're just faffing your way around life. So, the two of you seem pretty sorted out as a young couple. You're patient, you're willing to wait, you understand that making money will take time. But a lot of young people today find it so tough because you open out an Instagram and your friends are having the best holidays, they're going to the coolest places, they're eating in funky restaurants. Do you not feel that twinge ever that, oh, everybody else seems to be getting ahead of us?
We do. It happens a lot of times, but they have their own downs in their own jobs that we don't really see on Instagram,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yeah, it is a very curated world.
correct. So
Yeah.
there's no point dwelling our minds into that mind space. So it's pretty okay.
We've gotten used to it now. Initially, we used to think we don't travel, we don't do that. But I think that time will also come when we have
Yeah.
set our practice.
And we have our fair bit of recreational stuff happening.
Yeah,
It's not
sure.
like we have our family time. All those things are also there.
If it's of any consolation, when we got married, my husband and I, we had a 6-day week, and our holidays would also not be on the same day. So there would be months that would go by when we'd not have a single day together. But I think our focus at that time was building our lives, building some kind of stability in our world, because we wanted to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah.
And now looking back on those 37 years, I can say it with a lot of pride that I'm glad I did what I did. And I'm sure if and when you have kids and you have grandkids, you will look back on those days and say, see, we did it all by ourselves.
Yes.
So that will be really cool.
We'll
That
show
will
this
be-
podcast to them.
You must show this podcast to them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you ever compare your careers with those of your friends who are in the corporate world?
Yes.
That was such an honest yes. So, what do you compare about, and what do you find is better in the way that they live their lives?
Just that they have some sort of work-life balance. I don't know. I'm not saying that corporates got it easy, but they have like 5-day working week. Like we work on weekends as well. So there's no weekend as such for us. Steady paychecks. That's one thing that they have some perks. working
Sure.
With. We don't have all of that, but just
But as someone who's run her own business for 30 years, it is wonderful to run your own business. There'll be a lot of downsides to it, lot of them. As your practice grows and you add people, you'll say, oh my God, I need to earn because I have to feed people. Every month end, you'll be wondering, okay, next month, will I have enough to give everyone? What is the one thing you would tell a young person who's stepping out of dentistry today that will help them deal with all these challenges that you went through in an easier manner? What would you want to share with them?
I would say just to start being as professional as possible as soon as you get out of college. Take as many learnings from as many people as you can, because every dentist has a different way of working. So if
Okay.
you go to say dentist number 1, even if you're working there for 7 days, you learn 7 different things which you weren't taught in college. So you have to grasp as many things as you can
Interesting.
to start with, 100%.
What would you say,
be
Natasha?
patient, I would say, because this career requires a lot of patience. It's not an instant,
Instant gratification is not there.
Yeah.
There is a lot of patience required. Just trust the process, I would say. And
So let's say 5 years from now, what is the dream for your clinic, your marriage, and your individual lives?
I'll answer the clinic question. To answer the marriage.
Very, very, very convenient. That's not right. Okay. So let's start with the marriage question with you.
I think more of more of work-life balance,
Yeah, spending more time.
spending more quality
though
time with family,
together.
not just the two of us, with our parents, with
Okay.
her parents, and just trying to balance it all.
Travel more, I guess.
Travel more, definitely
Travel.
travel more.
Travel. Yeah, I don't think there's travel more. There's travel. Yeah.
As of now, we're only traveling Gurgaon to Delhi.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also a lot of travel
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's little things only. Not,
Little things.
Not something major.
We don't have high expectations in terms of, we don't expect a lot out of each other, but we just try to be there for each other.
But what
That's
do you expect out of your clinic?
what we expect out of our clinic. We don't look at building a dental chain.
Okay.
That's not something we look at 5 years down the line. Even if we have one clinic, but we are doing the best for our patients, that is something I would prefer over opening, say, 50 clinics and
Okay.
just micromanaging.
Okay.
That's not what we look at.
Okay.
So it's the patient comfort that you get to see when you are treating the patient. That's more important for us.
And what is that one patient moment that neither of you will ever forget?
So there was this young patient who came in, and she'd had a very traumatic fall on her face. So basically, she had laceration on the front teeth were broken because she'd
Fallen.
at night. So
Okay.
early in the morning, she just panic called, I need some assistance. And so she came in and we helped her. And she was very skeptical, very scared. She's working here, but she doesn't have any family here. Family's
Oh.
back home. So she was very scared. So we made sure we were there at each step, be patient with her and, rehabilitated a lot of. Went on for quite a long time, her treatment, but then
It took about 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Her
more
spotted,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we were there because we knew her family wasn't there in Gurgaon. We just wanted to make sure that she's comfortable not only on the dental chair, but even when she's home. So we would always try to check in on her, try to respond to her text as soon as possible. So that was something we went that extra step for her. And at the end of the day, I think before Diwali, she left for home. And
she just came and she met us and she was really emotional and she thanked us and she got us like a photo frame with her, before and after photos.
it was like 2 selfies that
Two
she had
selfies.
taken.
And thank you for making me smile again. It was just so heartwarming and just so nice to see her, back
Wow.
to her,
Wow.
get her confidence boost.
Wow.
It was really very nice.
Yeah, because we don't care too much about our teeth until we don't have them.
Yeah.
So, on that note, in a world today where people are drinking, people are having cups of black coffee one after the other, there is vaping, there is smoking. What is your advice to young people about how they can maintain their teeth? Because I'm reaching a stage in life where I'm realizing the value of teeth. So, what is it that you can tell people that they need to do to really take care of their teeth?
First would 100% be regular follow-ups. People, I think in India, they don't understand the importance of teeth, like you said, till they have pain, right? So even if though you don't have pain, you should definitely visit a dentist for a regular checkup, because there are a lot of hidden things that you can't see, which maybe the dentist can see.
Yeah.
And so regular follow-ups is definitely once a year, you should definitely go to a dentist just for a checkup. And with the stains that come in on the teeth, people try to brush hard, try to remove them, but they don't really get removed. So brushing hard doesn't mean that you'll have cleaner teeth.
Okay.
That is one thing that's we would like to tell the people that,
So, what do? You stop having coffee?
you don't stop having coffee, you just visit the dentist and he or she will definitely tell you what needs to be done.
What about oil pulling?
So oil pulling is something that is definitely coming up, and there are some research articles which is showing that it's quite helpful in certain category of patients
Okay.
to maintain their oral hygiene better.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be that they're just doing oil pulling. It's just an adjunct to your regular brushing. So regular brushing has to be there.
And then you
with-
do oil
correct,
pulling.
correct, yeah.
It's been such a pleasure talking to the two of you. And I'm so glad you came in. I know that you're busy and this is perhaps the only day off you have and you've made time for us. Because I think it's important for a lot of parents to also understand that it's not just enough saying ye kar lo, wo kar lo, but to also evaluate what is the life after that qualification and the kind of effort it requires to make a career happen in your so-called stable educational options.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best. I'm sure you do amazingly well. And may your practice grow. And may you show this to your grandchildren someday.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for having us.
It's so nice.
Doctors Natasha and Kushan remind us that behind every one of their confident smiles is a story of quiet struggle, daily discipline, and deep partnership. In a world that often applauds overnight success, they are a powerful reminder that building something meaningful, whether it's a clinic or a marriage, takes time, trust, and tenacity. If you are in Gurugram and you're looking for some great dental advice and care, you can look them up at dentalpod.in. If you're a young professional building your own path or a couple that's trying to balance ambition with alignment, this conversation is for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such episodes. And follow us on Instagram at Gen Zen by Chrysalis, where we keep the conversation alive. Until next time, stay sweet and stay Zen.